beyond the thin blue line, where the truth hides behind the badge. This is Beyond.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. Episode 6 of Beyond the Thin Blue Line. We're getting some good episodes. We're keeping this rolling. I told you guys we were going to talk to a wide variety of people. Last week we had a firefighter. This week we have a former Orange police officer from Connecticut. And the stories are always going to be different, but always pertaining to first responders. And, we'll talk to everybody that wants to talk about that. If you're a civilian, you can come on as well. If you got arrested, I kind of want to get somebody that I locked up on here, bro. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think who I could get. I think actually I might be able to get my boy. Maybe I gotta ask. There was a kid that I went to high school with. I think he's watching. He watches a lot of the TikTok, but I can't tell if it's him. I just think from the initials. But he was I went to high school with him, bro. I had to lock him up on a warrant, and. But dude, mad respectful. He was respectful to me. I was respectful to him. You know what I mean? It was mad cool. And like, and he sees, and you could see from now, like we were always boys. You know what I mean? Like we were always cool. We weren't best friends, but we were just like cool. And it was just those situations. Kind of I like to see the perspective of the other person. You know me as a person. You're getting locked up now by me. How does that feel? I want to kind of know. Although I did do that one dude, the comedian Dave Moon. I told that story on the podcast where he was in an accident. We didn't like each other growing up. He was in an accident, and I came there, and he was shook when he found out it was me because he thought I was gonna fuck him, and I didn't fuck him. And I just gave him respect, and we ended up becoming cool from that. But anyways, all right. Today we have a former Orange police officer. His name is Eric Ristaino. And we're going to be talking about a pretty interesting story, which is going to be a termination from the Orange Police Department for an incident where it seems like he was trying to save his partner from possibly dying. Okay, so this is a pretty wild story. I'm glad I came across it because I didn't know about this one. Did you know about it, Anthony?
No, I didn't hear about it.
I wonder why it wasn't really out there that much. But Eric, let's get into it a little bit. We'll get into the whole story in a couple minutes. First, I want to kind of understand who you are, where you grew up, and things like this, and how you got into the PD life. So tell me a little bit about your background and how you ended up getting over there to Orange PD.
Sure. First off, thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And so I grew up in Brantford, lived my whole life here. Started volunteering with Brantford Fire Department in my early teenage years. Mm-hmm. Did that up until I was 18. Decided I want to go to college. Wasn't sure what I wanted to study, but ended up going to UConn. And about halfway through, right around my sophomore year, I had a lot of friends that were law enforcement officers, and just hearing stories from them about the job and stuff, and how cool it was, it just clicked with me. As former cops, you guys know that feeling.
Absolutely.
Like you're meant to do the job. You're called to do the job, and
sure.
That's just how I felt. So finished up college, started applying to PDs. In the meantime, I had 3 part-time jobs. Working 80 hours a week, just trying to get by till I could get on the job. And this is about November of 2019. End up getting a call from Orange PD first, and like everybody tells you, take the first job offer that you get. You don't want to turn down a job offer, and,
for sure.
End up not getting a job down the road.
So, for sure. You can always leave. You can always transfer. You can always go anywhere. Really, that's why they say that. You know what I mean? Because just get the certification. That's what you want. Right. But go ahead.
So I end up taking the job with Orange in November of 2019, and literally the next day I get a call from one of the other agencies that was on the border of Orange, and hey, we want you. And I said, you're a day late, unfortunately.
Oh, snap.
And
now, did you want them more or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting.
No, when we get deeper into the story, it's funny how it all comes full circle. And
Okay, cool. All right, let's do
so
it.
I end up getting a job with Orange and went to the academy. I signed on with Orange Friday, November 15th, and then that Monday I was in the academy.
Wow, that's fast.
Well, that was really fast.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah. They so funny story. They had somebody before me. The class was full. The academy was full, and they had somebody in the academy that was going into the academy break their leg a couple days before the academy started. So a spot opened up, and that was me. So
that's rare.
That really is. That's crazy.
And you know what? Those departments, like your department, like that, Orange, they're not hiring a lot of people at a time. You know, they're lucky if they hire 2, 3. That's probably a lot for them at a time.
Yeah.
I was solo in the academy. Just
yeah.
nice.
See, yeah, man. I mean, in New Haven, they're hiring like 50 at a time. Sometimes more. So it's just bigger. But all right, continue. Let me know where we go from there. Now you start in the academy. How was the academy?
I kind of expected it.
Yeah.
Expected I was going to be. We were the first class, us in the senior class for COVID. So this was, December of 2019, right? COVID started a few months later. So it was a weird.
Yeah. As a teen.
It was weird. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I was dating a girl that was in state police academy during that time. So I seen kind of how that whole thing went. It was very, very weird. Sometimes they were at the academy, sometimes they weren't. Sometimes they couldn't go. They had to do it on Zoom at home. It was very odd, very odd. And honestly, sometimes I think about that. Because if you really think about what the academy is supposed to be built around, which is the camaraderie, the being there, the discipline, the enduring of being there for hours. I mean, for now it's a little different, but for us, bro, we were there at sometimes they had us there at 4 a.m. We're there till like 10, 11 at night. In New Haven, you go home. But dude, it was like constant like that. But yeah, so I saw how weird it was, but I wonder sometimes like what type of cops that era built. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we lived there up until April, and then I'll never forget it. We were in the cafeteria, and people were talking about COVID and stuff, and how it's the next flu, and they said, "Oh, we're going to be transitioning to like a Zoom academy," and I'm like, "Yeah,
that's crazy.
There's no,
it's not going to work. It doesn't work."
Yeah,
no,
sure as
wild.
shit. The next week we're on Zoom. I'm in my basement.
Wow.
in my full uniform doing Zoom classes. It was crazy.
Yeah, that is wild.
That's really crazy.
Yeah, it's not real. That's not the real experience, but I get it. They had to do it. It's whatever. You do what you got to do. But yeah, I always wonder like kind of how what type of cops that really kind of built. You know what I mean? Like regardless, though, honestly, sometimes you could just say you're either built for this job or you're not really. So it doesn't. The way I look at the academy is it didn't really. I mean, yeah, it gave me the basics, but it's not what built me into the cop that I was, you know what I mean? So a lot of the shit you don't even remember or even use other than like, the laws and shit like that. Maybe some of the little tactical shit, but you kind of, if you're, in my opinion, if you are a good cop, okay, like kind of a fearless cop, like you're just like, you do the job, bro. Like it's just ingrained in you. Yep. You have your own little style. You know what I mean? Those type of guys always have their own little style from what I saw. You know what I mean? But also those type of guys all have a similar style at the same time. You know what I mean? They almost have similar personalities, I would say maybe, but like different styles of policing that are all like built for around like their uniqueness. You know what I mean? That's how I would describe a good cop from what I saw. All right, so you're in the academy, you do COVID and stuff. Now how did you guys do firearms during COVID?
So we actually went online right as we were going into platoon week. I don't know what they called it in the New Haven Academy, but platoon week was the 3 weeks of it was arrest and control, 1 week, evac, so
driving,
driving course, and shooting. So yeah, we did it. We just kept our distance, and it was strange. It was strange times.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, so you graduate from there. You get through the. Did you have any issues in the academy with people, or like any type of problems there?
No. No, I'm a
That's
likable
good.
person, and you know,
Yeah.
yeah, no issues in the academy.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
No,
So you
we actually
graduate?
didn't even have graduation.
You didn't? Oh, really?
No,
So
no
how did that
graduation.
work? What, they just gave you your certificate? You said, "All right, show up to work."
Yeah, they
Basically.
mailed it to the academy. Yeah, it was the
Wow.
Wow.
weirdest thing.
Really?
No class picture. Yeah, yep.
Man, that sucks, man. That sucks for
Damn.
you
Yeah,
guys.
What class number were you?
367.
367. Okay.
Yeah.
What were you,
So the
man?
senior class.
I was 317. So
So there's been about 50 classes or so
yeah. Okay.
since you. Interesting.
Yeah, our senior class had graduated in December, right before COVID had started. So we did their graduation, and come time for ours, it was full swing with COVID and
Yeah.
masks and stuff and shots and social distancing. So we had no graduation at all. We don't even have a class picture up on the wall. Last I knew, if you go to the
That's
academy,
sad,
it's just
man.
Wow. That's crazy.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's got to be the
That's
only
terrible.
one, probably.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
more than likely. Wow, that
Man, 'cause
sucks.
Because even the academy below us, they had a graduation. It was I think a year later, but they still had a graduation.
Yeah. That's crazy, dude.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you graduate, you go into FTO. Now you're doing FTO during COVID now.
Yep.
That's got to be interesting too.
Yeah, that's really
So
Yep.
yeah, that's wild. I remember I worked during COVID. It was nice during COVID though, to be honest, because I
it
would.
was awesome.
It kind of was because I didn't get the. I wouldn't get the shot. I'm not getting that shit. Putting that shit in
didn't.
my body. Fuck no.
No.
So you had to. We were. I don't even know if they were testing us. To be honest, I think they were. Oh yeah, I was. I remember I had to go to testing quite a bit, like on Longworth over there. But anyways, I worked during it. But like anytime you came in contact with somebody that possibly had COVID, they gave you 2 weeks off paid.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this is fucking. I'm like, all right, this is pretty good. So yeah, no, COVID was crazy. So during FTO, how was FTO for you? I mean, now you're doing the job. Now you're out there. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, when you're, first out there, it's a little whatever. But then you kind of find your own to get through that last phase. But for you, how was it?
Yeah. So luckily, Orange is it's polar opposite from New Haven. Smaller town. Less crime, stuff like that. And I think it was beneficial for me because we were riding 2 separate cars. So it was me in one car and my FTO in another car. And
Really?
responding.
That's wild.
Yeah.
What is going on here, dude? That doesn't make sense. I don't understand that. Well, I mean, I guess you could do it, but I don't think you should do that because you kind of want to. I find like the FTO part like that is in the same cars is you're building that bond as a rookie. You kind of feel safer and like more understanding when you're right next to them rather than in a cruiser by yourself. But then again, I guess you could say, okay, well, you're putting him out there. He's learning the car. He's learning how to use it. He's learning faster. You can have an argument for either side, really, I guess. But I've never seen that.
No, I didn't know that anybody did that. That's insane.
Yeah, that is wild. So how? All right. So how? Yeah, tell us about how that experience was.
It was strange because even kids
Oh,
from
they
my
did
academy-
that. Now I get it. Not to interrupt you, I get it. They did that because of COVID.
because of COVID. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is May of 2020.
I thought they were doing that all the time. I'm like, what? That's fucking weird. That's how they do the training.
No, my
Oh, I'm shot, bro. I'm shot. No, okay. Now it makes sense. All right. So, now, yeah. So during FTO, how did you grasp the job, like right out the gate compared to like the end of it?
I would say I clicked right away. Phase one. Not to toot my own horn, but I graduated. I think it was top 10 in my academy class, number 8, and I'm good with all the laws and stuff. I'm not afraid to go hands on with people, stuff like that, and I mean the job just kind of clicked with me.
Did you have any? Go ahead.
What's that?
Yeah.
Did you have what did you have for like FTOs? Did you have any females? Did you have just males? Were they older?
Yeah.
What was like the most senior FTO you had? How much experience?
So I'll get into that. So my primary FTO, I think he was in his 30s at the time. Cool dude.
Yeah.
Ended up getting promoted to sergeant later on. My phase 2 was another dude in his 30s. Great dude. Knew his motor vehicle law, loved DUI, stuff like that. So I learned, a lot more from him on the motor vehicle side. And then we're still riding 2 separate cars at this time. And then phase 3 rolls around, and they said, "Hey, you could ride 2 to a car if you get tested." So we went down to Long Wharf the first day of phase 3. Both got tested, both negative, and never had to test again. So I rode with him for phase 3, and he was a retired deputy chief from Trumbull. He's a big sarge. You know, he ended up getting promoted to sarge later on, but you know, he's one of the good dudes. One of the best dudes you'll meet. Knowledgeable, regional SWAT team leader, stuff like that, and just a knowledgeable dude. You know, has 30 plus years of experience on the job, and you know, retires from Trumbull, comes to Orange, and is still, you know, wanting to chase bad guys and stuff.
So
like
he
that.
he didn't forget where he came from.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yes.
That's a cop's cop.
Well, yeah. Listen, you have to see those guys when you're there. Like I try to tell, you know, it's funny. My boy works in New Haven now, and so like, you know, I had to kind of give him all the inside info on like, you know, everything basically. You know.
Yeah.
He's a great cop. He's awesome, man. He's probably one of the best cops there right now. And but you know, you got to navigate through these places and understand these people's personalities that you're working with, because you know, I try to tell everybody online thinks that, you know, all cops love each other and we're a big family. I'm like, yeah, bro, you guys, I describe it as high school. It's like high school times 1,000, bro. Now you got people that have power, you have people that have money, you have, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, it's out of control. But in your rookie year, did you, like, when you were a rookie, did you have any problems with any cops, or were any cops dicks and shit like that? Because obviously sometimes that does happen.
Yeah. No. So surprisingly, we're all young guys there, and I keep saying we, but you know, I don't work there anymore, and you know, most of the people that are working there, they're young kids. You know, they're in their 20s and 30s. It's a younger crowd, so you know, you all kind of click together because you're young and hanging out after work and stuff, and hanging out on your days off. So honestly, no issues with any of the patrol guys there. No.
Okay. No veterans, like the older guys, they weren't no real, like, how were the older guys like that had like years on? Were they cool?
Yeah, they were all cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Guys even,
I could see that, you know, I mean, it's a smaller department. I feel like those departments are a little bit more tighter, and like, you know, you have less personalities that are differ, and you know, all that shit. How about the females in that department? How were the females?
So there was only one when I started working.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Was that the one in the videos? In the YouTube, the video?
No, she got hired after me.
Okay.
Actually, I believe there was 2 female officers. There was one detective and then one on patrol, and that was it.
How many people in that department?
45, including the brand. Yeah.
That's small, man.
God, it's smaller than my PD.
Yeah, that's small.
And
Interesting.
the female patrolman, she was only there for maybe 6 months, and then she retired. So
interesting.
Yep.
Okay,
they have
so
a lot more now. I think they have maybe 5 or 6
females. Yeah, well, we know they got to get the DEI hires, bro.
Yeah. Oh,
You
for
know what I'm
sure.
saying? They got to get. This is the era, bro. You know, it's funny. It's crazy, man. I come across so many videos now of female cops, and listen, the females that watch this, if you do watch this, I love females, you know, but I'm also a straight, real dude that just, I have no filter. I'm sorry, but you know, there's great female cops and there's shit female cops, and we talked about it. Go on the TikTok, watch the video I made about female cops. You know, they're hit or miss, really. You know, so. And they can cause a lot of problems in those environments. If you know what I mean. Yeah, but the guys are just as bad. They're just as,
100%.
Yeah, it's like I said, high school. So all right, so now you're on your own. You're kind of doing the job. How was everything going up until this incident that we're going to get into?
Yeah, it was going good. We had a lieutenant. I was on evening shift for a majority of my short career, but loved evening shift. Loved the Love the call volume. Love the types of calls we were getting, as opposed to day shift. The nonsense that day shift dealt with, and midnight shift there is just there's nothing to do at all. So it's bad. But evenings was great. Like I said, the type of calls that we were doing, and it was such a tight group of guys, all looking to do the same thing. All interested in catching bad guys, and our lieutenant at the time was all for it. Not out to get you, not writing you up for stupid shit. And another one is
when you guys are out there in Orange and like you're doing work in the evening, like were you allowed to do like pretty proactive work? Were you able to like if you wanted to look for drugs and stuff like that, could you do it?
I mean, yeah, you could do it. You're familiar with Orange, right? Like the layout and stuff.
Yeah. Was it like a thing? Was there cops like in that department that they like to do that stuff, like proactive cops like that, or was it more of a chill department where it's like like an unwritten rule, like listen, we don't really fucking do that shit out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was more of the latter, but if you were looking to stop cars and find guns and find drugs and stuff, if you're working for the right supervisor, they're all for it.
Okay. Cool.
Interesting.
That's good. Yeah, I always wonder that with a smaller department like that, because a lot of, especially in certain towns, they don't really want a lot of like chaos. They don't want like the cops running around tearing people's fucking pockets and shit. You know what I mean? So you never know with these smaller departments. I always wonder. Like obviously New Haven, we have to do that shit. You know what I mean? That's if you're not doing that shit, you're not a real cop, in my opinion. No, I'm just fucking around. So now you're working evenings. When you get into this incident, how many years do you have on the job? Looks like about 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was about 4. I think it was maybe a little over 3 years of actual street experience, not including the academy.
Okay, no incidents up to there, no real problems. Were you ever written up for anything up until this incident, or nonsense bullshit, or?
Yeah. So when the lieutenant retired in I believe it was end of 2022, it all started to go downhill from here. So
he was kind of the guy that was like you said, he doesn't fuck his cops over, and then somebody else comes into his position, and he's not that type of guy. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he did a good job. Like we weren't doing crazy shit out there, but he did a good job at keeping the brass off our backs. And when he retired in December of 22, it went downhill from there.
All right.
Got
Tell us about that.
Up for stupid shit. I'll speak from my experiences and what I got written up for, but I was sitting on the post road one night. I was big into motor vehicle. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to do there. If you're not into motor vehicle, there's there's really not much to do. But I was big into motor vehicle, so I see these 2 cars come flying down Boston Post Road one night from Milford. And at the time, we were dealing with a lot of like street racers and stuff like that, car takeovers. So I see these 2 dudes flying down the Post Road. I light them up over by kind of where the highway entrance ramp is, and I pull one of the cars over. The lead car, go up to the car, start talking to the dude, and his buddy pulls up alongside me, and I told him, yo, keep driving. We're on the entrance ramp to the highway. I'm all by myself. So tell him, keep driving. He doesn't drive. So he pulls over directly in front of the car that I had stopped. So now I'm alone dealing with 2 people. He hops out of the car, the dude that pulled in front, hops out of the car and starts distracting me from my motor vehicle stop. He starts interfering. So call for backup, and doesn't want to get back in his car. I'm giving him multiple orders: get back in your car, get back in your car. And I'm raising my voice, swearing at him, get back in the fucking car. Just trying to take control of the scene. I'm by myself, pretty much on the highway, and waiting for backup. And I end up walking up to the dude. Doesn't want to get back in the car. Gave him multiple chances to get back in the car. So after about the 15th command of get back in the car, I put him in cuffs, bring him back to the station. Backup shows up, and we get back to the station, and he tells my sergeant, he says, oh, your officer treated me unfairly. He was rude to me, whatever. So that night, my sergeant ends up watching my body camera, and he ended up, he was my primary FTO, but he watches my body camera and he says, "Oh, dude, you're fine." Nothing came of it. About 2 weeks later, he comes down to the station and he gets a complaint form, and he tells the sergeant on shift that I broke his phone, which was total bullshit. When I was placing the dude in cuffs, I took his phone out of his hand and I put it on the seat. Never broke his phone. I had no reason to lie about that. Everything was on body camera. There was no, and I would have no reason to break his phone. So anyways, the guy that I arrested takes the complaint form. They give him all the information, how to fill it out, how to make the complaint. And he goes in his car, drives off, never comes back because, he knows it's bullshit. I never broke his phone.
Yeah.
So,
well, we talked about that. We talk about how a lot of times these guys, I'm surprised they even came there, because some people, they want, they'll be on the street. "I want your badge number. I want a supervisor, blah, 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 blah." They never actually come down and make an actual complaint. So, and this is where I feel the story is going to get good, because I told you the story about that, how my supervisor did that, and I ended up texting and saying I wanted to slap the shit out of him. I was different, bro. I was different. But anyways, no, because now what I feel like we're about to hear is a supervisor trying to fuck you and throw you under the bus. So
fishing around for nothing.
Yeah. So continue.
So the guy leaves, never makes a complaint. I didn't hear anything of it. And then maybe about a week later, I get a call from one of my union reps. And he's like, "Hey, even though the guy didn't file a complaint, we still have to look into this, and see what this is about." So goes through the process. The chiefs end up reviewing the body camera footage. And lo and behold, I never broke the guy's phone. But they ended up seeing me swearing at the guy, telling him to get back in the fucking car, get back in the fucking car. And
cares.
I ended up, so I ended up taking 1 day suspension for conduct towards the public.
What?
I lost. Yeah, I took a 1 day suspension, and at this point, I had no write-ups at all. None at all. So right off the bat, I end up getting suspended. I got 1 day.
What policy was that a violation of?
I believe it was in the manual of rules that they give us.
And what was in it? You said what? Conduct what?
Towards the public.
I don't even know if we had that. We have conduct unbecoming of an officer, or stuff like that, which maybe they could use that. But I don't. Yeah, I mean they have. But listen, in a scenario, it's not like I'm. Here's my opinion in a situation like this, okay? You are giving him commands. He's not listening. Now you got to get stern, okay? If I have to swear at him to make him realize I'm not fucking around, dude.
Yeah.
Do you want to really go to jail? Because I'm going to take you to jail. That's basically what I'm saying when I have to swear at you. So it shouldn't get to that level, number one. And if the supervisor's seeing that, it's in a situation where, you're giving him commands, you're dealing with a driver, and it's for safety and all this stuff. That should not be a fucking write-up, bro. Are you kidding me?
Eric, it shouldn't matter, but was the guy, what race was the guy?
He was African American.
Oh, interesting. No, I'm not against African Americans, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in a manner of these guys at the top. I told you guys all the time. It's not about the African. It's not about the African American. It's about making themselves look good. Okay, guys. Yep. All right. So it's unfortunate that this is the scenario in life, but I'm telling you guys, I love black people, by the way. Okay. So I love every type of person. That's why I do this job. That's why I'm out here trying to push the bad shit out and the good people in. And the problem is they keep us divided by doing this stuff, all right? They keep us angry at each other by doing this type of stuff. And I don't want to see it anymore. I'm trying to bring everybody together by doing this. And these guys at the top, they only care about what's their agenda, okay? And if they see it's a black person, they see it's a female, they see it's, and they don't care. They'll throw you under the bus to make themselves look good and not have to deal with the public and look good to the public. They don't care if they look good to their cops. How was your chief, by the way? Was he a good guy? Was he kind of a dick? Did you want to not want to deal with him? Was he cool to deal with?
Is it still the same chief that's there now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. He's been chief since like early 2000s. He's been a sergeant since 1987, I believe it is. So,
Time to go. Too long.
The only time we ever saw the dude was, if food was donated, and I hate to say it, but, that's the only.
What did I tell you guys? I tell you guys this all the time. You never see these guys, bro.
Nope.
They probably barely even. I told you our chiefs, they don't even come to work, bro. Our secretaries would be like, I haven't seen these guys in weeks. Then
Eric, did he wear a uniform or was he wearing plain in the shirt and tie?
Mostly shirt and tie.
Interesting. And I don't like that. I don't like that.
Nope, me neither. So against it.
That's one thing our chiefs never ever were. They were always in a uniform. I think that's a rule. I don't like the shirt and tie. The shirt and tie chief is no. I don't want to look at a guy in shirt and tie. I want to look if I'm supposed to look up to you, you better be in your fucking uniform. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It almost gives the vibes of being a politician.
100%. That's what I mean by what I just said. It's all about the whole race shit, the whole agenda shit. That's all politics shit. The way I looked at this is why I have a love-hate relationship with policing, because I love what the job is, man. I love it, dude. I love the adrenaline. I love the chasing the bad guys, the investigating. It's just like you said, it's built inside of you. You're either good at this shit or you're not.
Yep.
And but I hate everything else that comes with it, man. The shitty bosses, the politics, the politicians, you have to deal with all the nasty shit that these people are creating to purposely divide communities, all while they act like they want to do everything for the community. They don't give a fuck about the community. I'm sorry, but I'm just keeping it real. Ask any real cop if they think that the chief really gives a fuck about the community. There may be some. I'm not saying all of them, okay, but I'm telling you that a lot of these guys are like anybody else at the top. They just care about themselves, okay? They care about bettering themselves, and that's why we come out here and we tell you this shit, because the good guys are at the bottom, man. The good guys are at the bottom. It's unfortunate. And, there's a couple sprinkled up there, you know what I mean? But the ones that are sprinkled up there, they're good guys. But in my opinion, they don't have a backbone, really. Like the guys that have backbones that aren't afraid to say, well, fuck this chief, dude. You know what I mean? Fuck this guy, dude. You know what I mean? He never did fucking shit. You're trying to come talk to me like you never had a good arrest in your whole career, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you never did any type of work. So those guys that are like that are at the bottom, bro. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, and then it's the good guys that are sprinkled up in there. They're great guys. They might not fuck you, but if the chief wanted them to fuck you, they'll fuck you. You know what I mean?
Just to stay up there.
Yeah. That's how those guys are. And like you said, this is how the worst of the worst weasels their way up to the top. Because the good guys at the bottom won't do this shit, bro.
No.
We're not willing to fuck people over. We're not willing to. We just want to do the fucking job, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right. So after that,
crazy though. There's. I had friends everywhere. I'm a likable person. I had friends everywhere, and just hearing. Even at bigger departments, they see their chiefs more than a smaller department. It's just crazy. Their chiefs are showing up to calls, on their days off. Like that never happened. Never happened.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this question. I always kind of wonder, like, the type of guys, like, because I know for me, man, a big reason why I got through what I got through in my department was because my generation, man, and the guys I worked for, if they were like me in terms of like I said, the guys that were at the bottom that had backbones and didn't give a fuck, those guys backed you up, bro. Those guys backed you up. So like, there was a lot of guys where when I was going through shit, and this is like I've told the story before where when they tried to fire me because I tattooed my face, I was dude, like hundreds and hundreds of people showed up for me that night, man. And it was amazing because if you're a good dude and you're doing the right thing and you're a good cop and people see that you fight for others too, like what I did in the department, I fought for everybody, man. And they it might have looked like I was doing it for me. I did it for everybody because I saw a lot of good cops, like I said, get fucked by these guys. And I feel like I left kind of an imprint there to change for the better in the terms of guys realizing like, yo, there's dudes that will not give a fuck and fight you at the top. You know what I mean? And I think me doing that taught the later generation guys that are now at the top, like, yo, chill. a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, do what you have to do and stuff. But there's guys down there that are not afraid, man. You know what I mean? And they'll make you look bad, bro. You know? So after you had that one suspension, did you have anything else? Or like, so tell me, like, because you said it kept going downhill a little bit.
Yeah, so I kind of had the target on my back at that point.
There you go.
Everything. I mean, I was a black cloud. Everything kind of came crashing down at once. This was April of 2023. So the motor vehicle stop was April 1st of 2023.
Okay, so this is your last month on the job, really, basically.
No. So
April?
We'll get into it.
Okay. All right. So all right, got you. So the motor vehicle call was when? April 1st?
April 1st of 2023.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right, let's go down.
In between the motor vehicle stop and when this guy actually comes down and makes a complaint, I was working evening shift one night, and we get a call from Milford that there's a stolen car heading our way. So me being proactive, I'm waiting for it, and sure as shit, here it comes down the post road, stolen Kia or Hyundai, whatever it was. I get behind it. There's nobody around me. All the cops are up on the north end. So I light it up. The car stops at a red light. I try to light it up, and it stops. I pull kind of alongside the driver's side of the car, and they take off. So as we're both turning down onto Racebrook Road, which I'm not sure if you're familiar, where Dip Club is, four-way intersection there. They cut across and they smash into me. They take, the whole right side of my front bumper off. So I get behind it and I start, calling it out. They just smashed into me. We're eastbound on the post road. And they say, okay, they don't cut it off. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the pursuit policy now and stuff like that. I mean, it's so strict. But it varies from department. We have a bordering agency that will chase you till your wheels fall off over something stupid. And then we have, a town like I worked for where Bridgeport had a homicide one night, and Bridgeport's behind the car 10 minutes after the homicide, and they're sure as shit coming northbound on 95, coming towards us, and Big Sarge gets on the radio. He says, hey, we're going to set up sticks. Nope, no sticks. Okay. Hey, if this car comes into town, are we chasing it? Hold off. Call for assistance yet. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
What do you mean? Are you cops or not? Yeah, are you cops or not? Like I said, they're all afraid. They're afraid that car accidents, people, how's this going to make the city look? And I can understand that to a certain extent, but, dude, like, you still have to catch the bad guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. Otherwise, you never do, and it gets chaotic, and we're kind of going down that road right now because policing is getting soft. So, all right, so what happens now? Like, you end up getting the guy or what?
Yeah, so I light the car up. We traveled maybe a half a mile at this point. I'm behind the car, and ends up being 4 juveniles in the car. They crash out, flee on foot, and we end up catching 4 out of 4. So nice. Same thing. This is maybe 2 weeks later. I didn't hear anything of it, and I get the pink slip in my mailbox. You're subject to an IA. This is the date and time that you're ordered to appear for, and this, like I said, this is all while the motor vehicle stop IA is going on. So they kind of roped everything into each other.
Now, so you got 2 going on.
Who initiated this IA?
That's what I wanted to know too. Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
So both IAs were department initiated. Wow.
What was the IA about? What was so? Is that like? Let me ask you this question: the one with the motor vehicle, is it normal policy that they do that for every like type of accident or anything like that? For every cop, or was yours like just kind of isolated and they kind of, like you said, had a target on your back and did it? It's not common.
Are you talking about the one where the car crashed, the stolen car?
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna do an IA, but there's no complainant. So a lot of times it'll just get, you'll get a written warning. Especially if you have nothing in your personnel file prior. Buddy of mine.
Damn, man.
Wow.
A buddy of mine had chased a car maybe 2 months prior to my case, and he lit a car up, thought it was a misuse, and the car ends up wrecking. It caused like a 7-car accident. It was crazy. Like 15 people went to the hospital. It was crazy.
Jesus.
Ends up getting a written warning. You know, it was a department initiated IA. He ends up getting a written warning.
Damn, bro.
So when my union came to me, they're like, you know, what are you looking to get for discipline? You know, you have these 2 cases going on. What are you looking for an outcome?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I have nothing in my personnel file at all. So, I mean, what about a verbal warning for swearing and then maybe a written warning for the pursuit? And they're like, no,
Yeah,
that's
reasonable.
never going to happen because, you know, the other officer already got a written warning for his pursuit and you should have known better. So you're going to get a suspension. There's no way we'll be able to get you anything less.
But that's not equal. That's not equal.
I know. And it's funny because when we get into the actual, the shooting, you'll see more about how there's not a lot of equal stuff that goes on. It's
yeah, that's what I talk about constantly. But yeah, see, I love these because it proves my point. You know what I mean? That's why I talk to these guys because these are the guys going through this shit that I talk about. So all right. So what ends up? You get suspended basically.
Yeah. So I got 1 day for each. I got a 1 day suspension for each.
Jesus.
They considered it
Holy
progressive
fuck.
discipline. Yeah. So I got 1 day for each, and then I got 1 vacation day for each taken out of my
What?
Holy
yeah.
shit! Who's in charge of
I
your
never
union? Was it a
heard.
supervisor?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. You're taking days, vacation days from me. Now, let me ask you this question. At this point of what's happening with you, do you feel that this is a like you're getting targeted as an individual, or is this something they're doing to everybody, kind of?
I think it's something that they're doing to just all the patrol guys. The bullshit IAs that they're starting, and it was only ever the patrol guys. You know, all the bullshit IAs that they started were all, you know, for the most part, department initiated.
Yeah.
Very rarely were you getting citizens actually coming down and filing a formal complaint. You know, it's all department initiated, and it's
Right.
sad.
That's
You know,
interesting.
and somebody from a big city department told me one time, they're like, when you have a small department like that, they have nothing better to do than to focus
100%.
on the
Bro,
patrol guys.
listen, I'll tell you right now, if that call that you just said about, you know, I've done it a million times, to be honest with you, stolen cars, kids, whatever, bro, no, the chief probably wouldn't even know about it, to be honest. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just happening every fucking day. It's nothing compared to the shootings, the like hardcore domestics, you know, the really big drug cases. Like, they're not hearing about any of this shit. So they're not looking to fuck you because that's just part of doing police work. And in that city, it's kind of crazy, man, because you're making me kind of say to myself, thank God I was in New Haven. You know what I mean? Because I, first of all, would not survive in your department. I would probably, you know, those guys, I would have been long gone, bro. Long gone. You know what I mean? Very quickly.
You would have been locked up, Jay.
Oh, 100%, bro. 100%. I mean, Jesus, dude. That's crazy, dude.
Not a good place to be a proactive cop.
No, man,
you know, and when we get into the shooting story in a bit, you know, I was looking to get out.
Okay, I was just going to ask you that. Like, at this point, how do you feel? Like, do you feel like, hey, man, this might not be the place for me. Maybe I should start looking elsewhere and figuring some shit out. Tell us about that. What was going on in your head then?
Yeah. So they hung the IA over my head for both of these for months. They both happened in, I believe it was April. It was April 1st, and then May, maybe like the first week of May. And they hung the IA over my head for months and months. And I had to ask the union, I said, these aren't like elaborate cases. Like, what's going on with the IAs? You know, the chief's thinking about it. He's thinking, you know, what the discipline is going to be. And I said, you know, this is taking a toll on me mentally. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. And you're hanging it over my head for months. You know, can we wrap it up? And they end up wrapping it up in, I believe it was July. So I take my 2 days, you know, middle of summer. a couple of my other buddies took the day off, and we all hung out together, and
Nice.
just chilled.
That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah. So that was July, and then the shooting was in later in September.
Okay. So
Yeah, but
after
I was
these,
looking to get out.
yeah. So did you start looking at places?
Yeah, did you start
what was-
applying or?
Yeah, so I was looking. I was talking to a couple buddies from different departments and stuff, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Dude, this is not the place for you. Like if you want to be a proactive cop, you got to go to a bigger city. More opportunities. Supervisors aren't up your ass. They're not out to get you." So I had started looking. I didn't put any applications in, but I was looking, and sure as shit, a couple months later, I get into this incident. So
Now let me ask you this: before you got to Orange, did you ever have like when you decided, hey, I want to be a cop? Where did you initially always want to go? Like, so because you everybody kind of has an idea of what type of cop they want to be in, like where where I want to work. You were from Branford, I grew up in East Haven, so we're kind of right next to each other. New Haven's right there. Did you ever think about wanting to go there?
So I wanted Branford bad.
Yeah.
I grew up in Branford, did the volunteer fire department, and knew the town, loved the town, and that was my number one on the list.
Right.
Didn't end up happening. I got Orange prior, but yeah, I mean, going into it, I didn't know what kind of cop I was going to be. I just didn't know. I didn't know if I was going to be a proactive guy, if I was going to, want to do motor vehicle stops, stuff like that. But of course, once I got on my own, I'm like, I'm a proactive guy. I want to stop cars. I want to arrest people. I want to get warrants and stuff like that. And
yeah, makes sense. I didn't really know either, bro.
No.
Yeah, by the time I figured it out, it was kind of too late.
Yeah, I had no. It's funny because I'm thinking back when I applied and stuff. When I ask you these questions, and I'm like, so that's what makes me wonder. Like, did we have similar mindsets? Like, how do other people kind of go about this process of wanting to be a cop? Is what's going on in my mind. So, like for me, like I applied to Yale University because one of my buddies worked there. It wasn't really. I mean, I kind of only wanted to be there because my buddy was there. It wasn't a place that I really cared to be honest.
Good money though.
Yeah, great money. Yeah. But they got to do a lot of years, man. They got to do like if you got hired, I think my buddy got hired young there, like early 20s. Like I got hired early 20s, and you got to work till you're like 50 minimum there or some shit like that. So he's got to do like 30 years before he can like really leave or some shit. It's crazy. But and then again, it's like great money and stuff, but you're not really nobody really looks at those guys like cops. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, guys. Right. Love you all. We're there for you if you need us, but you're not looked at as a New Haven cop, really. You know what I'm saying? But I applied there. I applied to New Haven, and I applied to Milford, and I ended up getting New Haven. But I didn't know what type of cop I wanted to be either, man. You know what I mean? I didn't even know what this job entailed, dude. And you don't really understand. It's kind of interesting. I as much as this job really kind of fucked with my life a lot, mainly from the internal side. The external factor of the job, like doing the job, and all the bullshit I did have to deal with, it built me into a specific type of dude, bro. And it also taught me a lot about myself. And I tell people all the time, it gave me a lot of great qualities to life in terms of like being able to really like kind of figure shit out quicker, look at people a certain way, read people quicker, always be aware, like, and like kind of be fearless. And like I said, be fearless, man. If you're really good at that job and you really want to be a good cop, a proactive cop, it's funny because, dude, like it's on social media, all these people talk shit to me on social media, bro. And like, I laugh, I comment back, but you know what? I got to kind of chill at this point because so many people come at me, and I'm the type where like I love to go back and forth with them to make them realize you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these people they have no idea what they're talking about, or they just like are just trying to be assholes. But I gotta kind of chill because it could put the accounts at jeopardy, because then they get vindictive when I put them in their place or I make them feel stupid. Then they report the account and it's like, dude, you pussies. You know what I mean? So I deal with that shit all the time. But yeah, man. So all right. So at this point, you're kind of thinking, I want to get out of there. You haven't really pursued it or applied anywhere. You're going to work. How do you feel when you're coming to work? Because I remember going through this time where I'm like, fuck, man, this shit sucks, dude. You know, like you never thought you would feel that way about the job. You know what I mean? Nope. So how are you feeling coming to work every day at that point?
Yeah, just discouraged. I mean, you know, you sign up to do the job and catch bad guys and stuff, and feeling like your department doesn't back you, and you know, frivolous IAs that they're doing on people for nonsense. I mean, you just don't feel supported. And you know, it's funny because a lot of people always use the same line, and it's true though. They say, you know, we're more worried about you know, admin and you know, IA than we are the guys in the streets, like the bad guys in the streets.
Yeah,
like
man.
It's
100%, dude. 100%. That's what I was getting at earlier with like the guys on social media. Like these people like make me laugh because I'm like, dude, you know what I dealt with, dude? I dealt with fucking, first of all, I dealt with murderers, bad people. You know what I mean? Like that's when like people talk shit to me. I'm like, dude, you really think that you faze me, dude? You're like nobody out here, bro. I dealt with really bad people, and then I dealt with really fucking powerful bad people. You know what I mean? So, and that's what the job is. You know what I mean? You're dealing with bad people out here, and then you're dealing with bad people on the inside, and that's why we are called Beyond the Thin Blue Line, because we tell you what the fuck is going on beyond that shit. You know what I mean? Because nobody really understands it. So yeah, so you're feeling discouraged, and you're right. That's what happens, man. You feel like you can't do your job. Like you're afraid to do your job now. You start to question, is it even worth it? You know what I mean? And a good cop starts to fuck with you, man, because you're there and you want to do the job. And for you, I mean, listen, I got in trouble the first year on the job. It was kind of my fault, and I admit it, and I talk about it. But they really railroaded me during that shit and fucked me, as well as the rest of my career too. But when it happens early in your career, I mean, for me, it kind of, I look back at it, I'm like, thank God it happened earlier in my career than late, because I feel if you're an old cop, like the cop that just got in trouble over there, and we'll talk about that in a little while. We'll probably go for maybe, you know, we'll be out of here before 10 o'clock, but I did definitely want to get on that topic. But my point on that is that guy's 40 something years old, bro. Like, you know, if you were a kid, you just brand new on the job, I can understand a little bit more. You know, you're not mature enough yet. Your mindset's a little different. You know, you just got the job. There's a lot going on. You know, maybe you're a little too much with like, I'm a cop fucking now. Yeah, cool, whatever. And you make a mistake. But if you're 40 something, you're a supervisor, you know, whatever, those type of mistakes, in my opinion, are a little different, you know? So yeah, man, it's the internals of this shit is crazy. Let's take a 5-minute break real quick. I'm going to take a bathroom break, and then we'll get back into it, and we'll get into the rest of the stories. And like I said, I want to touch on the the orange sergeant that just got in trouble, as well as the rest of the story where you got into your incident. And so now we're kind of going to work. We're disgruntled. We're not really feeling backed. And we're coming up to the situation with the shooting. Yep. Anything else that happens prior to the shooting? No, you're just kind of just in that funk, really. Okay, so all right, yeah, smart. You know, that's what you got to do during those times, man. You know, you just go to your calls. Yeah. This is what I tell people too. You know, how to navigate. I have a video coming out soon about how to kind of navigate through a police department if shit's happening to you, because a lot of people go through this stuff, and you have to be a special person, in my opinion, like I said, to really handle a lot of this shit that goes on in police departments if you have a target on your back, because it's stressful. And then what happens is you look, if you can't make decisions yourself, I'm a big believer that, number one, being a good cop, you make decisions, you have to make smart decisions fast. You have to, you know, maybe overthink things deeper. There's many aspects of your thinking that goes into being a good cop. And if you can't do that for yourself, you're kind of fucked. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when situations like this occur in a police department where you got a target on your back, sometimes you have to take control, you know, and that's what I did. And I was kind of always that person anyways, but I see guys that are getting, in trouble, or they're kind of coming at them and whatever, and then they sit there and they're like, duh, what do I do? Like, oh, okay, whatever. And then like they think the union's gonna do everything for them, and I'm like, no, bro, you tell them what to do, bro. And that's how I worked. I told the union what to do. Like if they tried to tell me something, I'd be like, if I agreed with it, okay. If I didn't, I was like, no, okay, we're not doing that. We're gonna do it this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they would be forced to do it. They work for you. You pay money for them to do what you tell them to do, not the other way around. Unless you fucked up or whatever. But if you know you're in the right and you're getting fucked, or things weren't equal. A lot of times things weren't equal, and I watched everything that would go on in that fucking department, because you have to when you have a target on your back. Because you have to see what's equal and what's not, so you can use it against them. It's this crazy game you have to deal with.
Well, Jay, it's funny that you say that, because with both of my IAs, the union vice president, who actually was the one that just got arrested, but he came to me with these 2-day suspensions for each of them, like it was on a silver platter. And I said, I have no disciplinary history at all prior to this. I said, and right off the bat, I'm getting suspended. Yeah. No verbal warnings, no written warnings. I mean, for swearing at somebody in the course of my duties, trying to assert authority and take control of the scene. And he's like, nope, this is this is all you're gonna get. This is the best that you're gonna get. And I'm like, that's just crazy to me.
How long was he the union vice president for? Do you know?
I think since prior to me getting hired, I believe.
This is the guy that just got arrested, right?
Yeah.
So let's just get into this now, since we're on the topic, before your shooting story. Yeah. How was this guy? Because I had most people. I'm hearing stories that he that he wasn't the greatest guy, and then I had like one dude that's like family friend that like went off on me about him. But I don't know the guy. I just put the story out there. Number one, and number two, like my thing is this: what I'm seeing happen to you based on what you're telling me. He's a guy that, and the way I would describe in my department is he's either buddy with like the chief or somebody higher up. Mm-hmm. Or he's just like trying to get there, and like he's got no backbone, and he's willing to.
It's their puppet.
Yeah, he's just willing to do whatever they tell him to do, so that he can look good and keep rising the ranks, and whatever. You know what I mean? Like, is that what type of guy was he?
So what I'll say is all the people, because I read most of the comments on your posts and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll say most of the people that were in favor, like supporting him, are either close friends of his or. People that have lived in Orange their whole lives, and they live in this fantasy world that Orange is some, they act like it's a Greenwich, this uppity town where no crime happens, because they're oblivious to what goes on, and when the news doesn't report on a lot of the stuff that goes on in Orange, and the town police department page doesn't post any of the arrests for the most part, they're just not seeing what goes on in their town.
Yeah.
But, I mean, most of the comments in favor of it, like in support of him, are close friends of his.
Yeah.
The other comments, the other 95% they pretty much hit the nail on the head as to who he is, and he's a connected guy. Knows a lot of people in every department. And like you said, you hit the nail on the head. Good friends with the chief and stuff. And yeah.
We know these guys, and I wanted. That's interesting, because if he's got all these connections, I want to see now what happens with his situation, because this is what we talk about all the time on here. I say, listen, if you're a small guy, you got no connections, you got a target on your back, you're fucked. They're gonna fuck you every which way you go, dude. So you have to really be on point. Where guys like this, just because they're connected, they could be wild and do crazy shit. And they get away with it because of who they know. So let's watch that closely, guys, to see what the outcome is of his situation, because everybody should be held accountable, no matter if I was, you know what I mean? I took, people want to talk about my shit all the time. And I laugh because I'm like, I don't hide it. You know what I mean? I took accountability. That's what you have to do as a man, as a police officer, and you come back from it and you show that you like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, man. I'm going to be better. And like, you do it, dude. You know what I mean? You don't have other people clean up your messes as a man. As a man, especially, bro, you fuck up, you deal with it yourself. You don't go have, oh, help me. You know what I mean? Like that's pussy shit. I'm sorry to say, but anyway, so he was, yeah. So basically, he was like one of the guys that I just described. Can't really trust the guy. He was your FTO too.
No, he wasn't an FTO.
Okay. Yeah, well, he was a cop for a long time somewhere else. I forget where. I forget what other department.
Waterbury.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a pretty, there's work done out there. I mean, it's a shitty city, to be honest.
When he was on Waterbury, that was probably when they had that big corruption thing.
Yeah, he was probably. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything.
I know.
But Jay, going back to the the two IAs that I had, and I'll never forget this meeting that I had with him. It was on evening shift one night. He pulls me in the supervisor's office, and like I said, he presents it like it's on a silver platter, like, oh, you're going to get 2 days suspension for each, and I said, I just don't understand how that's possible. I have nothing in my file at all. I said, and these, the other officer got a written warning for pursuit, 2 months earlier, and like he told me. You should have known better because he got written up for his, so you can't get a written warning. It'll be a suspension. And he said, what are you willing to agree to? And, as a young officer, just trying to get past everything and, and learn from, what happened, I agreed to it. And, he said, oh, I'm going to be having dinner with the chief. And, I think I could get him to agree to these 2 days and 2 days. And, dumb me, I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll take the 2 days. And because what I was told was if you don't go in there and kiss the ring, which was verbatim what I was told, and fall on the sword, he's going to throw the book at you. And so I said, you know what, I'll take the fucking 2 days and the 2 days. So
and listen, this is what I told people. I said, listen, and like, yep, they bully you, and then you sit there and you feel like you have no choice really, and then you just want it to end. To be honest, to me. That's what most people go through in the department. Me, yeah. I kind of was like, it was my whole entire career, so it didn't matter if one thing ended and then another thing would start right after it. That's just how they were because they couldn't deal with me, so they constantly were trying to stress me out. And that's what happens. Now you're stressed out. You're like, I just want this fucking thing to end. Whatever. I don't have anybody here to help me. What other choice do I have at this point? You know what I'm saying? Yep. Yeah, see, it's sad that that's how things go. And like him saying like, I'm gonna have dinner with the chief, bro. You should just be doing this at work. You know what I mean? This is work shit, bro. You shouldn't be outside of work, like hanging out, fucking making deals like this, dude. That's unprofessional in my opinion. Okay. So let's get to the shooting. I mean, whatever happens with that guy will be interesting to see. But his situation is stupid. I understand it to a certain point. He was drunk and shit. But when the other guy's fucked, man, the teacher who made those comments, bro, that's some wild shit. But I mean, listen, if you are a cop and you're hanging out with a dude like that, he's making comments, I would be like, bro, shut the fuck up, dude. You know what I mean? Like. Jesus Christ, man. Like, I don't care if you're my friend. I'm not going to condone it. I'm not going to sit there and, like, not tell you to be quiet, bro. That's fucking disgusting, and I don't want people hearing that shit. So, but, yeah, whatever, man. We'll see what happens with that, dude. But I can understand, like, sometimes it's like, guys like him, all those years on Waterbury, and now, he's at this place. He's a, buddy with the chief.
Country club.
The country club life of policing. And when they go into these outer areas, they think they're big and bad. And I used to always say, I'm like, man, these motherfuckers are only big and bad in New Haven, bro. Nobody else gives a fuck about them out here. You know what I mean? Like, you're nobody outside this fucking these city lines, dude. Like, nobody cares, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you act all big and bad over here. What happens when you get out of here, dude? And that's a prime example. Nobody gives a fuck, bro. If you're a cop anywhere, dude, just you got to have respect. And I dealt with it. Listen, like I said, so this is why I speak on this shit, because I fucked up, so I know what not to do, what you shouldn't do, so you don't have to fucking be like me, all right, and deal with the bullshit I dealt with. Now, but that's what I mean, though. See, like, look what I had to go through just because of that one fucking night, because I wasn't connected to anybody. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have anybody to fucking clean up my mess, which I wouldn't have wanted to anyways, because that's not the person I am. Like I said, you have to do it yourself as a man, But this is what these other people have. So they never learn that lesson that I talk about. That's why they're in their 40s and 50s and they become chiefs and they become shittier fucking guys, All right, let's get into the shooting here. Let's start from the beginning, man. You come to work, a normal night,
No. So looking back at it, it's kind of crazy to look at. So I was in between the time where I took the suspension and the shooting. I was a primary FTO for two separate officers, and between the months of like April and September. In that time, I had gotten the MAD award for 2023. So the Mothers Against Drunk Driving for DUI arrests, and that was September 15th, the day of the ceremony. So I had the week prior, I emailed my assistant chief, and I said, "Hey, am I working day shift? Like, are you reassigning me to day shift to go to this the ceremony, or am I still working evening shift?" And he emails me back, and he's like, "Nope, we're going to keep you on evening shift. We'll pay you overtime. We'll give you comp time for going up to the ceremony and getting the award and stuff." And he said, "But we're going to keep you on eves." So I said, "Okay." I end up we have a 4-man minimum, so there was 5 cops assigned to evening shift that night. The 5th officer took comp time from 7 to midnight. So I put in comp time from 4 p.m. till 7. So definitely not a normal day, because I had, like I said, I technically worked in the morning, went up to the ceremony, and then had to work evening shift. So come in for work at 7 o'clock. This is September 15th of 2023, and start my shift around 7:30. Once you get done with roll call, stuff like that, cruiser check, hit the road. And so it's about 7:30, and I'm just driving around, laying low. Seemed like just another normal night at that point. There wasn't a lot of calls for service. I wasn't stopping cars, and I had literally just gotten done FTOing a kid like maybe a week prior. So just laying low, like kind of getting back into the swing of things, and doing calls on my own, running the show. And I honestly don't even remember any calls for service up until this shooting, which was at 10 o'clock. So like I said, there was a 4-man minimum. So it was me and Officer Correa down south. We split the patrol up into north and south districts at this point. So it was me and Kurt down south, and Officer Castelleo and Rapice were up in the north end. Rapice was grabbing dinner, or he was actually on his lunch. He was at the station, and I was picking up my dinner at a place right next to where the shoplifting was occurring.
It's always dinner time.
It's always dinner time. Yep.
That's funny.
So it's about 10 o'clock. I'm picking up my lunch, and the shoplifting call comes in like just a normal shoplifting. Sounded like it was past tense. They said black male took clothes, fled on the back of a moped. So I grab my food, I'm walking out the door, and I get relieved as the backup officer by Officer Castelleo, and because she knew I was going on lunch. So I get my cruiser, start to back up, and Officer Craig gets on scene, calls out a foot pursuit. So I self-dispatch because I'm literally in the plaza right next door. And Jay, I don't know if you want to play the video first, or...
No, tell the story, and then I'll show it for people to see. But yeah, keep going. I'm already into this.
So self-dispatch. I'm in the plaza right next door, and I hear him call out the foot pursuit. Can't really make out.
Eric, hold on 1 second. So for viewers that don't know what self-dispatch means, just give a quick explanation of that.
Yeah, so self-dispatch is when you're not assigned to a call, and you hear something come in. Like usually it's a hot call or something where obviously you're going to need backup. People just self-dispatch and go to the scene without dispatch actually telling them to go.
Yep.
Yeah. You just get on the radio and say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm doing this. Put me out here." You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right. So continue. You self-dispatch yourself. You're already in the plaza, and there's a foot pursuit going on.
Yeah. So he's in a foot pursuit, and as you can see in the dash cam later on, I'm pulling up to the plaza driveway, and I can't really make out where he is. I don't know if he's running towards the post road from Burlington or I don't know where he is. So I end up spotting him in the distance. Like I look to my right and I see him in the plaza chasing the guy through the plaza.
Mm-hmm.
So I come down the ramp. I'm in my cruiser. I got my lights on and fully marked cruiser, and I see them both run to a car. The suspect jumps into the front passenger door. Door was open. They jump in, and the thing going through my mind is just block the car in. They're pulled up against like a cement island. I'm like, so as long as I could get behind the car and block them in, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
So I get behind the car, block it in with my cruiser, get out of the car, and at this point, Officer Cray is already partially inside the car. I see him fighting with the suspect in the.
What is he, through the window? Is he like through the window?
No, the
How
door's
is he
wide
in?
open.
Oh, on which side?
Front passenger side.
Okay, so and there's somebody in the driver's seat occupying the car.
Yeah, so there was what we found out later on was there was a female in the passenger seat, and when she saw him running to the car, she jumps in the driver's seat to take off.
Okay. So the car's running right now. It's and he's fighting with the guy in the passenger seat.
No, so car's off. So as I get up to the driver's window is cracked maybe 3 or 4 inches, enough for me to like get my hands in there, because I had tried the door handle and the door was locked.
Mm-hmm.
So I grab at the window, I try breaking it, and I mean we're talking seconds, 1 second, maybe 2 seconds, and she starts the car. I'm giving her orders, don't do it,
Mm-hmm.
and puts the car in reverse, smashes into my cruiser, puts the car in drive, and drives up over a cement island towards the post road with my partner still in the car. And at this point, what's going through my mind is he's just going to jump out of the car. Like they weren't going fast at this point. I'm thinking he's just going to either let go or get himself out of this situation on his own. So I start running up the driveway behind him, and Officer Castelleo at this point, who I didn't know she was close by, starts coming down the ramp, and I'm thinking, okay, she sees the car fleeing, she sees me running after the car, she heard the radio transmissions that went out. These are all things that are going through my mind, and I'm thinking either the driver's going to stop, or Officer Cray is going to jump out of the vehicle, or she's going to block the car in. What ends up happening that you'll see in the video is she drives right by the car and the car drives right by them. She gets out of her cruiser and starts running behind me on foot after the car. It's just a mess.
Yeah, I've had that happen. To be honest,
monkey see, monkey do.
Few times.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, like I said, it's a 4-man minimum, so there's already 3 cops on scene. There's me running after the car, her chasing behind me on foot, and the cop in the car. The 4th cop is on lunch, so this is all I'm working with right now.
Yeah, crazy.
So
that's tough.
We're running up the ramp, and like we had touched on before, it was a close-knit patrol group. We were all young kids and, all around the same age, hung out, outside of work and stuff, and we were all close. So at the time, that's my best friend in the car. That's right. One of my best friends. Worked with him daily for the last couple of years, and watching him getting driven away by a suspect is I can't even put it into words how terrifying it is. They're driving away with them, and there's really nothing I could do up until this point. So they're getting to the top of the Plaza driveway, and Plaza driveway leads to Boston Post Road, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Goes all the way from goes from Orange into Milford, and then if you take a right, it goes into West Haven, New Haven. So the only option I had at that point was to attempt to stop the driver. That was my last ditch resort, and cops hanging out of the car, getting kidnapped. They're putting him in jeopardy of serious bodily injury or death. I mean, you have a car going 15 miles an hour accelerating away. They're kidnapping him. All it takes is for him to fall out of the car, hit his head,
Or they run him over.
Or they run him over with the car. I mean, they're taking a right turn. I mean,
shoot him.
they're putting him in jeopardy of bodily injury or death. So I have my gun out at this point, line my sights up, and the shot that I had was of the driver's head, and pulled the trigger, and didn't see the back window shatter. Didn't fire again, and they stopped the car. End up getting into a fight with the suspect in the passenger seat. He didn't want to come out of the car. We end up pulling him out of the car. He's resisting. He's about maybe 300, maybe 350 pounds. So it's not a
really. He's a big guy, huh? Damn.
Yeah,
now,
big guy.
Let me ask you a question. I'm reading the GoFundMe thing here. Did the suspect have his taser?
Yeah. So later on, what we found out was the suspect in the front passenger seat had grabbed Correa's taser because he was trying to get them to stop the car. He had pulled his taser out, and they had grabbed his taser and pointed it back at his face, and he told them, I'm gonna fucking shoot you if you don't stop the car. And all this is unfolding while I'm chasing behind the car and ultimately end up shooting at the driver.
Wait, so back up. What I'm reading here is it makes it seem like the suspect had the cop's taser.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah,
he did. Okay.
Oh shit. Okay, so I understood that right too.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, yeah, that's crazy. All right, so you shoot at the car, that causes them to get shook and stop.
Yep.
Where did that round go, Eric?
So it went into the trunk. It was, if you look at the Inspector General's report.
I was reading it. Yep.
Yeah, they have the trajectory in there, and the trajectory was lined up. It was just 3 degrees low, according to the investigators. Pierced the trunk, went into the back of the trunk where there was more stolen merchandise from previous shopliftings, and the bullet ended up getting stopped in a bag of clothes that was in the trunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So nobody gets hurt, basically.
No.
All right. Interesting. That's always good, right? So they locked them up. Now, what happens? Let's get into what happens after the shooting that night. Like, because I had an incident where I told this story when I got a new gun that didn't work, the whole shit, whatever. When I fought 2 guys in the projects, and I had them at gunpoint, they come at me. I'm fighting them, and I'm trying to get my gun back in the holster, but holding it as tight as I can because I don't want to drop it. I'm fucked if I do that. So it's not easy fighting 2 guys and trying to keep your gun. You know what I mean? Not easy. Anyways, I have an AD. It goes into the ground. When that happens, like now everybody comes out. Does IA come out on scene over there? The chief. Does that happen?
Yeah. So as part of the police accountability bill from 2020 was it's no longer investigated by the state's attorney's office. It's investigated by the Office of the Inspector General. So what happens is we end up calling for mutual aid from West Haven because we only had 4 guys on scene. Yeah, end up calling for mutual aid. They help us secure the crime scene and take everybody into custody. Nobody got hurt. The passenger, the one that was holding my partner in the car, I ended up drive stunning him maybe 3 or 4 times. But everybody ended up going to the hospital. And West Haven secures the scene, and we had, and to go back to, you asking me before if it was a normal night, we had no normal dispatcher that night. The dispatcher had worked days into midnights into days, so they couldn't work evenings. So just a patrol sergeant who was certified in dispatch had picked up the evening shift overtime. We had no road supervisor at all.
Wow.
We were bare minimum that night. So chief comes out, the assistant chief comes out, the detective bureau comes out to process the scene alongside major crimes and the inspector general. I end up sitting on the side of the road for 2 hours. Meanwhile, my blood pressure's through the roof. My heart rate is through the roof. Waiting to go to the hospital, but we have no supervisor on scene.
Oh my God.
The only supervisor on scene was the West Haven supervisor. So fast forward, 2 hours later, one of the supervisors shows up, puts me in the car, drives me back to the station. I get changed into plain clothes and get driven to the hospital for a checkup.
Okay. So you go through the checkup. Now the day's over after that. You go home?
So at this point, by the time I get to the hospital, it's maybe 1:30 in the morning. Get back to the station, and Major Crimes was there processing, evidence and stuff. So I had to get dressed back up into uniform.
Oh, yeah. They
whole
probably
thing.
want you to write your statement, right? They probably want you to write. Do they want you to write?
No, not that night. So
No?
I get
Okay.
placed on admin leave once they process, my uniform and all that stuff, my gun. I end up writing a statement. I believe it was maybe 2 weeks later. Write the statement, and then that got sent to the Inspector General's office as well as the chief of police.
What about the police report that night for that incident?
Yeah,
do you
who
have to
wrote it?
write in? Yeah. Do you have to write anything? No.
Nope.
Somebody else wrote everything. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So
Is that
Correa,
part of the
one that
accountability
was-
bill? They have somebody do it or no?
So Correa was the arresting officer that night. So he wrote your normal arrest report.
Yep.
And then the other two officers that showed up wrote just supplemental reports to
And you
his
never
report.
wrote anything?
I wrote a statement maybe 2 weeks later.
Oh, okay. So
A
it took 2
written
weeks.
statement.
Okay, gotcha. So
Yeah.
they probably had enough based off of all they wrote.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Is like Okay.
Yeah.
So all right. So now you write your statement. Now you're still on admin leave until all this gets figured out, right?
No. So this is where it gets good. So September 15th was the shooting. I get placed on admin leave right away. Just paid admin leave, staying home and keeping my mind clear. And the day before Thanksgiving, 2023, so 2 months later, I get a phone call from my union rep, and he's like, "Hey, you're good to go back to work. The Inspector General's office gave you their blessing. We're going to transition you back to work." So I end up going back to work the day after Thanksgiving. They transition me back, put me in the detective bureau just to get me, reacquainted with things, get my mind right and stuff. And they had me just doing background reports for applicants, things like that. So this is November of 23. A couple weeks later in December, the union comes to me and they said, "Hey, the chief wants to do a debrief with you before he puts you back on the road." So I said, "Okay." So we go into the training room. He puts up the dash camera footage, the body camera footage, what there was available, and we watch everything.
Okay.
And the chief tells me all the things that I could have done differently and what he would have done, and
That's not a debrief.
it was a lecture.
They love to do that. They love to do that. I'm the best, guys.
Yep.
I'm the best.
you're
Meanwhile,
trying
I've never ever been in a car chase in my life or done any type of police work like this. But let me see. Hold on a second. Let's go actually watch this
Video, Jay.
Yeah.
We'll play the video of the body camera so everybody can see what the hell went on that night. Let's go. All right, this is that. We want to go to here. All right, let's do this. You can hear that?
Yeah.
All right.
You're not coming in too clear. Any units with him?
Okay, there it is.
So that's the DEI hire there.
Is that you running? Who's running right there?
Yeah, that's me running behind.
So this is the female that pulled up.
132, they're driving off with the cruiser?
She keeps saying, fuck. Yo, she ain't ready for this shit.
Keep the radio clear.
No,
132.
that's a
got the
terrible
radio.
K term too.
Was that shots fired?
Look how fast she's breathing. She's
Yeah, jacked.
this
out of
is
her mind.
too much for her, man. It's too much for her, bro.
Which car? This car?
Which car?
No, nobody knows what's going on. It's just
So is that you standing there, Eric?
that's me. Yep.
Okay.
Can I get a description of the vehicle?
They're both in the car now still? They got the cop and the guy?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Which cruiser is it?
Alright.
George, stop. Stop, on room 1.
Alright, she's doing alright there.
We have 3.
Alright.
I need everybody to clarify what's going on.
Jeez,
It's not clear at this point.
bro.
That's what happens when you have a sergeant who doesn't ever dispatch.
Yeah.
Has no clue what's going on.
Ay.
Yeah. So you can see they're trying to pull him out of the car on the right side. Big dude, maybe 300, 350 pounds.
Is he just fighting people? Like not wanting, he's just resisting?
Yeah. Yeah.
What an asshole.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
Yep.
No weapons on him or anything. He just was fighting to be an asshole.
Yeah, just fighting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's for fucking shoplifting, you dumb fuck. All this for shoplifting, you idiot.
You could see me drive stunning them, which they later had an issue with.
Oh my god, they have an issue with you dry stunning the fucking guy? Isn't that what that fucking thing's for?
He's still not in custody yet. They're still fighting.
And there's still somebody in the car too.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
There's a third person in the car.
Yeah, you guys are in a real shit spot right there. Like bad. Like especially if somebody had a gun in the car or something.
And I need to understand what I have. He's just with them.
The fireman's out here right now.
Your 124 is with you. Do we have any parties in custody at this point?
We have 1 female detained. The male is already in the gun.
Jesus.
Roger, are there any injuries?
Alright.
That's pretty much the end.
Interesting.
Jay, do you have my dash cam? It's like a minute long, I think.
I don't have it, no. I mean, no, I don't have it. Is that what difference does it show of it?
There's a lot. There's a big difference with his body cam.
Oh yeah, really?
Cam, yeah.
Where is it? Is it on YouTube or no?
It's on that that GoFundMe.
Inspector General. Yeah, it's in the
It
Inspector
is?
General. Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
And
If I
it
can.
is in the report.
Let me see if I can find the. Okay. Let me go to the thing.
That's what you
Now,
call a straight up shit show, Eric.
Yeah. Yep.
you know, it's interesting because I'm sure you see which one? Dash cam, the official report. I only have.
On the
There should be
GoFundMe, there's 2 of them.
Well, I see the. Oh, there is. Okay. Is it the first one or the second one?
I believe it's the first one.
Yeah, I think it's the first one.
Okay. Let me link it to my. Yeah. Okay. Cool. We'll watch that one. No, you see the shooting in Mississippi with the cop that shot the kid for the shoplifting. You didn't see about that? It's a similar situation. You know, these people were, they came there with their baby to fucking steal diapers or some shit, or I don't fucking know. But they flee like this. They almost run over. Apparently, they're about to run over a cop. The other cop shoots. The fucking mother is holding the baby in the air in the front seat of the car. The kid gets fucking shot and killed. You know, and then they blame the cop and stuff, and it's like, dude, like, I don't know, man. This is why, like I said, I wouldn't even want to be a fucking cop right now, dude.
Yeah.
It's a tough generation. All this social media bullshit, bro. I wouldn't last because I can't not talk shit back to you. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, I can control myself if it's not worth it, but like sometimes you got to play the game. Like, I have that video of the state troopers up there, man. People love that video of the Massachusetts state troopers going back and forth with the guy. That's the shit that I would do out there. You know what I mean? You're not talking shit like I'll fucking kill you, but you don't say shit like that. But you break balls. You know, that's just what dudes do. And honestly, to be honest, that actually, how do I put this? Oh, it's in my notes. Okay. You know what happens when you do that, to be honest, because that's how they are too. You know what I mean? If you're like a dickhead and like let's say they talk shit to you and then you kind of like break balls back, they kind of respect it a little.
Yeah. Yep.
They kind of respect it a little, and you build a bond, honestly, a little bit between these guys. They can trust you a little bit because they can see like, oh, he's kind of like one of us. Like he could take it. You know what I mean? Like because the insecure cops, what happens is they end up. All right, let me see something here. You guys can't see my screen, right?
No.
Not yet.
Okay,
No.
Let me go back to Zoom. But the insecure guys, they can't take it. They start talking shit back to the fucking dudes out there on the street, and it creates, you know, those dudes see through that shit. You can't be like that.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
They see through it, bro. All right, share screen. Where is this fucking share screen shit again? There we go. All right. Don't. Here we go.
No, it's not that one.
It's not that one. That's this one. No, this one. This one. Why is it? Hold on. It's in my notes. Just had it. No, so then it wasn't the. I just put this one in my. Hold on. Let me see here. Maybe it's not the wrong note. My peptides. No. Yeah, I got this. Here's the link. Copy link. Go in here. Boom, boom. Why? So they mentioned this one in the Attorney General report more.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's like better or something.
Just because there's a lack of body camera, and I could touch on that too. But yeah, this kind of shows. Yeah.
132, you're not coming in too far.
Through the wall at Burlington. Right by side of Burlington.
Connecticut.
126, 128, through the wall at Burlington. That's what you're.
Good shit.
Hey, step it up.
That's what I mean. You got to make decisions fast.
Any units with it?
Oh my God, savages. Fucking savages, dude. That's it? Nothing else on there?
Yeah, no.
What about?
Right now.
Where's your body camera footage? Did you have a body camera footage?
So that's what I'd love to touch on. So
let's talk about it. Where's that?
We had these old digital Ally. We don't even have Axon. Digital Ally body cameras that have no pre-event buffer at all. They don't activate when your cruiser lights go on. It's old school technology. I mean, you could see from the dash camera footage how
those are shitty.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So my body camera, I ended up, just because of all the fucking chaos, I ended up hitting it maybe 5 seconds after I fired. The cop in the car turned his on maybe 3 minutes after he got on scene. And one of the things that I was fired for later was failing to activate my body camera. And the chief, testified under oath. It's as simple as pushing a button. He could have done it when he was on the way to the ball, which of course you could have, but we're just so ingrained of you step out of the car, you hit the button, and this unfolded way too quickly. But the cop in the car ends up getting no discipline for not having his body camera on, because the chief said the cop thought he had his camera on, and it didn't seem like it was an intentional violation of the policy.
Oh my God!
But the guy with the target on his back did.
Right. Yep.
Unbelievable. Wow. See what I mean? The unequal treatment is fucking ridiculous. And you know why? Because you're the guy who shot, so now they have to fucking have a reason. They got to find a reason.
Somebody's the fall guy.
Yeah. So all right. So all this. So you guys saw what happened here. All right. Like you guys form your opinion on whether or not you think that he did the right thing or whatever. But regardless, we did this job. We kind of understand to a certain extent. You know what I mean? It kind of makes sense. I get what he's saying, why he did it. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, the only thing that I would say, and I don't know if they argued this fact, but did they argue to say like, oh well, why didn't if he felt he was in danger, the cop in the car, why didn't he shoot? Did they ever bring that up?
So I'll explain the timeline of what actually happened, because nobody ever interviewed anybody else on scene. They just took the arrest reports and the supplemental reports, and that was it. The Inspector General's office never came and interviewed anybody else on scene. So nobody ever interviewed them. And this is, I wonder if that's normal policy or that's just them being in their power positions and being lazy. It's late night. They don't want to come out and do their jobs. Nobody's fucking, they have the power to do that. This is why things get fucked up. So, all right, continue. What's up, man?
No, go ahead. I'll save it.
So shooting was in September. I get cleared from, my union and the Inspector General's office to return to work. And flash forward to December, we have the debrief, which was more of a lecture. And, the chief told me all the things that he would have done and, what could have been done differently and stuff. And, his ideas were I should have been calm on the radio. If I was calm on the radio, they could have understood what was going on, and the cop pulling down the driveway could have blocked the car in, and just every excuse under the sun for what could have been. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I sit here and I in hindsight, I think about what I could have done differently, and I mean the bottom line is, they know all these facts after. You put yourself in my shoes.
100%.
It's different as it's going.
Yeah, Granby Connor. I mean, going through my mind, I'm watching the kid get kidnapped. He's hanging out of the car. They're not stopping. They rammed my cruiser. They didn't stop for the cop coming down the ramp. I don't know where the last officer is. The last I knew, he's on lunch. So I have to make a split-second decision of, what am I going to do? Am I going to see my best friend again, or am I not? And and I train more than anybody at the department, and I'm no John Wick, but I trained with my gun more than anybody at the department, and I felt confident enough in my abilities that I was going to hit my target. And
do you feel? Let me ask you this: now that it's all said and done, after, are you kind of? Do you feel better that you didn't? Do you think they would have charged you with murder? They probably would have tried to charge you with murder, bro.
Can I? When he answers this, I want to read something after he's done.
Yeah. I mean, they could have tried, but when you read the Inspector General's report, which there ended up being multiple drafts of it, it's. I sleep peaceful at night knowing that what I did was in defense of another officer, and if they wanted to come after me, then
cool. Gotcha.
Jay, real quick, I was reading the Inspector General's report, and my brother-in-law, he's a sergeant in a department in Connecticut, and he's very well legally versed. And I'm going to point out, it's page 35, last paragraph of the Inspector General's report. It says, applying these legal standards to present case, I find that Officer Ristaino's conduct was not reasonable and therefore not justified. None of the prerequisites to using deadly force to make an arrest are present in this case. There were available reasonable alternatives to the use of deadly force. Officer Ristiano could have returned to his cruiser, parked only a few feet away, and pursued and stopped the Buick. In conjunction with his own efforts, Officer Ristaino could have radioed officers I'm going to say their names wrong, Castelleo and Rapis, to have them stop the Buick. Both officers were quickly converging on the scene. It is highly likely that these 3 police cruisers would have stopped the Buick without incident, particularly since the car stopped on its own about 100 feet down the road. Hold on. From the Burlington Road Coat Factory. The use of deadly force did pose a risk of injury to third parties, and the underlying crime was not a felony that involved the infliction of serious physical injury. The second claim justification relates to the defense of Officer Carrera. I acknowledge that Officer Carrera was in a dangerous situation, but he was not at risk of imminent death. Moreover, Officer Ristaino's choice to assist Officer Carrera by attempting to kill the driver was not reasonable.
Okay. Did they ask the officer Carrera or whatever, did he ever feel like his life was in danger?
So in his arrest report, he puts in there that, he felt like his life was in danger, and he told them he was going to shoot them in the car. And the Inspector General's office, who later testified, and the chief said, he wasn't at risk. So you have me who's telling you that I felt he was at risk of serious bodily injury or death, and you have the cop in the car telling you that, and they get to, in hindsight, say he wasn't at risk.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
What, in your opinion now, why do you think that it went this way? Why do you think that they did this? To save face, to make it seem like, oh, we don't have officers like this in this department. We're a safe, nice, good, happy department.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump back on the timeline, and then you'll kind of see and maybe form your own opinion as to what you think happened. So the debrief goes down, and he tells me everything he could have done differently and would have done differently, and just Monday morning quarterbacks it. But I end up in the debrief, the chief says, "Oh, you could have had Officer Castelleo pull across the road and block the car," and in my mind, that's a no-go, especially at a department like this.
That's a roadblock.
They're not gonna let you block a car, and it's a roadblock.
Yeah.
So I end up asking the chief, going back and forth with him, how is this possible? I said, because I'm pretty sure all the guys on patrol don't think that would be allowed. And the supervisor who just got arrested calls a timeout, pulls me into the office, and fucking screams at me, "What the fuck are you doing? He's giving you the fucking answers to get you back on the road.
Guy, man.
Fuck both of them.
On the road." Yeah.
I would say this is a conflict of interest.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's telling me that he's going and having you're representing me, and then you're going out and your buddy having dinner with him.
No,
fuck no, I don't want you representing me. And honestly, bro, that's what you should have said, to be honest with you. But I get you're in that situation. You don't really know if you can even do that. This place is already small. Who else is there? Yeah. I mean, were there other guys in the? Who was the president? Why wasn't the president fucking representing you?
This guy kind of runs the show. He might be the vice president, but he runs the.
Oh my god, dude!
He runs the show.
He ain't running shit now.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. No, well, I'll bet you he gets taken care of. Watch.
He's in my face. The chief's telling you the answers to get you back on the road, and you're fucking arguing with him. I said, I guarantee you, if I told the cop to pull in front of that car and do a roadblock, and the cop in the car got killed or somebody got hurt, I said, I would have been in the same. I would have been.
They just want you to say yes, sir. You're right. You're right. Yeah, you're the best ever. You're the best ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
they want him. They want him to be a yes, sir in person.
Yeah, man.
You're not. Like, you're not. You don't have that personality.
Yeah. Well, because he knows what the rules are. He knows that they would what they would really do. Wow. They lie to your face. They tell you, "Oh, if you did this, I would have done this, man." Right. No, you wouldn't have. You would have fucked me still, dude. You fuck everybody, bro. That's who you are.
That vice president wouldn't even have showed up. He probably would have been getting his fucking lunch still.
Crazy, bro.
But they're splitting hairs on the policy. They said, "Oh, a roadblock only applies on a roadway, and you guys were technically on the plaza driveway."
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I'm like,
this is what I mean when I say they write shit. They write shit and then try to find little loopholes to fuck
in their favor. Yep.
They write shit so vague, and it's, they spin it to whichever way works, works better for them.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So after the debriefing, what happens?
Yeah, they sent me back to the detective bureau for a couple weeks. I was in the chief was pissed at me because he thought that I was arguing with him when I was just trying to get clarification on
Correct.
what he allows and what he doesn't allow.
Fair.
So they end up putting me back on the road January, first week of January of 2024. So this is, a few months after the shooting, and I'm back on patrol, just working my normal shift.
Very interesting. And so you're basically, did you get anything from the state saying you were cleared? Like any paperwork, anything? Just a word?
Nope. Just a word from my union who had been in contact with.
That's very odd.
Is that the norm, Jay? You think for all?
No, I would think that if there's an investigation,
well,
you would get something in written stating that you're cleared. The union would get it typically, and they would give it to you, and you know what I mean, or something like that. That's very weird. Okay, continue.
I know it's getting late, but just want to touch on
go ahead.
things. So February, I finally make the decision. I said, you know what? I've had it with this department. But I don't see myself staying here. I said, after this is all said and done, because in my mind, I'm going to be in the clear. They already have me back to work. They have me back on patrol. And it's smooth sailing. So I said, let me put a couple applications in. So I put an application in February. I interviewed. And the day after the interview, I got a text message from one of my good friends, and his sergeant is in charge of like the hiring process, and he said, "Oh, Orange already called and inquired as to him applying." So somehow the word got around that I had applied, and I think that was the nail in the coffin for me.
Oh, so what they so how do you think they found out?
Somebody.
Somebody knew somebody, and I don't want to speculate, but
you kind of you think, okay, I gotcha. So that's what I'm saying. Like did you tell anybody? You must have told somebody that you had. No. Oh, so
nope.
somebody in the other department told somebody, probably.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yep. And so what? They basically sabotaged that for you.
So that's what I think. I mean, this is February of 24 now, and let me see, it was in August of 24.
Vindictive, man. Vindictive motherfuckers.
I get a text from one of my buddies on day shift, and he's like, "Hey, the sergeant on day shift is telling people that your report is coming out this week, like your Inspector General's report." So I call the station, and I'm like, "What the fuck's going on? Why are people on patrol finding out about my Inspector General's report
before you are?"
Before I am. I said, this is bullshit. So the assistant chief ends up saying, "Oh, well, they just sent over a rough draft. Basically, it's for the chief to look at and make corrections as far as, mistakes in spelling of names and timelines, stuff like that." So I said, okay. Didn't hear anything else. And then I end up going to midnight shift. I go to midnight shift, just trying to lay low. And I worked midnight shift. It was October 9th. Never forget it. I went in for 11 o'clock.
This is 2024?
This is 2024.
Okay.
Requalified on my handgun, October 9th, 2024, at like maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and get out at 7, go home, wake up from a text from the assistant chief. "Hey, chief needs to see you in his office today, ASAP. Let me know when you're up." So I go to the station and sit down with the chief, and he hands me a...
Who's with you?
They originally didn't want union representation in there with me, but I said I'd feel better if I had... Yeah. Wow. I said I would feel more comfortable if I had a union rep with me, because I don't really know what's going on. So I said, okay, we'll let a union rep in there with you.
Jeez.
I sit down. Chief barely says 2 words, hands me a piece of paper, a memo, saying being placed on administrative leave, you're banned from the property, you're to surrender your firearm and your badge and everything. No answers as to what's going on. Just turn everything in, and you're banned from the property. And the union rep even asked him, like, do we know what's going on? And he would not give a single answer or hint as to what the hell was going on.
I don't see how that's legal for him to do.
Yeah, and I mean, mind you, this is almost a year after the shooting, and actually,
Wow.
it is a year after the shooting, and I had been working patrol for 11 months. I mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he puts me on admin leave. Come to find out a few days later that they were in possession of the Inspector General's report, which they had sent to us, and that's what you guys see today is where, they say it's unjustified, and yeah,
So
that's
now, okay, now let
But
me
how
ask
did that
you.
change from when you were cleared
Yeah.
right,
by them?
right.
Well, that's what I mean.
What changed?
That's why I said it's very odd because he never got paperwork. He never got nothing. He just got
Yeah.
some word from this
So they
guy
were still
who
working on
obviously
it.
you can't trust.
Yeah, yep,
That's
yeah,
interesting. Or maybe they
Yep.
were like, "Oh, let's just bring him back and see how he acts, or see how he is, or whatever." And like, if he's
Wow.
if it, you never know. Like they might be like, "Let's see what happens." If it's don't close it just yet. Bring him back.
yeah,
If it's a problem, if he becomes a problem, or the citizens start bitching, then we'll
yep.
fucking do something. You know what I mean? You never know what these
Well,
dudes have up their sleeve.
so it's funny to touch on because, and I actually forgot this point. I had met with the chief once all the rumors were going around, and I'm getting texts from people left and right about oh, we heard you applied to another department and stuff, and I took the advice that I was given, and they said you should go to the chief and tell him that you're looking to leave once this is done, and I did. I sat down with the chief in the summer of 24, and I told him,
Being a man.
once
This was
this is all
before
done,
he took you off your. Oh yeah, so this
yes,
was before. Yeah, what a
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
what a pussy, dude. I'm gonna tell you straight up. If this is true, I'm gonna take your word for it. But
yeah,
that's pussy behavior, bro. This is vindictive. This is not manly shit. Okay, like
yeah,
flexing your
yeah,
power because this kid wants to leave, and like he came to you man to man. This shit, and this is what I mean. This is the shit that goes on with these guys. These guys, everybody
yeah,
thinks these guys are so proper and fucking classy,
yeah.
and no.
Yeah.
So,
Hand to God, I sat down with them and I told them, I said, look, when this is all said and done, I'm transferring out. I said, they want to hire me once this is all done. And he looked at me and he told me, you're good to go in my eyes. He said, we're not even going to do an IA, so you're able to transfer. So that's what he told me, which, as you know, isn't standard protocol. There obviously has to be an internal affairs to,
of course.
Yeah.
for a shooting like this.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't even do it yet. Like, why'd they wait almost a year to do an IA on this?
Yep.
Why? Because they were purposely waiting to see the outcome of that? I mean, what does that have to do with? I mean, because they want to see whether now what happens now when they determine this as an unlawful shooting. Now, is the department required to fire you? Is like, does the state have any? Can the state say, hey, it's up to you guys? We find it unjustifiable, but nobody died.
Yeah.
It's not like whatever. We got no charges against them.
Yep. So in the Inspector General's report, he just calls for me to be decertified. He says he decided not to arrest me because there was a low probability of conviction is what he put in the report. And in one of the rough drafts that we found later from the Inspector General's office was he puts in there that he felt that the jury would have sympathized with my situation, that your fellow cop is getting kidnapped and you're trying to save his life.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think this was them trying to do what they could and
it's them saying I got the power, we're still gonna fuck you, and this is how we're gonna do it, and it's as simple as that. We can't do it this way, so we're gonna find another way, and that's what they do, guys. And the same way, like his chief said to him, like, oh, don't worry, man, don't worry, we got your back. That happened to me, like I told you on the first episode of the podcast when I came back after I got in trouble. The chief that fucked me the most during my entire career. Oh yeah, you're gonna have a great career, we're gonna treat you so equally, blah 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 blah. This is what they do. It's what they do.
Him?
Yeah. Yep.
Clown.
That's funny as fuck. It's always, yeah, man, unbelievable. So now, okay, so all this happens. He takes you off leave, and now you're waiting to see the outcome of what? The IA.
Yeah. So he puts me on paid administrative leave once again, now a year later, and bans me from the property. I'm not allowed on the property at all. Surrender your firearm, everything. And maybe about a month later, he sends a pre-termination letter, saying all the policies that I violated that he said, which funny enough were all the points that he brought up in the debrief, the things that I could have done differently and stuff like that. But it was basically just a copy and paste of the Inspector General's report, the IA.
Yeah.
It was like some of the stuff was verbatim. It was just copy and paste with the Inspector General.
Because they don't really do work.
Did you guys have internal affairs there, or was it just some Joe Blow that got assigned the case?
It was whoever was the supervisor of the detective bureau at the time. That's who does the.
How was the relationship with that with you?
So
Before.
my IA ended up being done by the assistant chief, I guess, because it was they wanted to cross all their T's and dot their I's, But the assistant chief did the IA, if you want to call it that. Which all they did was copy and
the
paste.
Inspector General.
So now when they terminate you, where do they bring you? Like, who decides that? Commissioners and shit?
Yeah. So that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. So I end up meeting with my union, vice president, two vice presidents, the president, and a union lawyer. And he's like, hey, you got no shot at this. You have no shot at winning. You should just resign and walk away. And that's the end of it. He's like, you could go get a second opinion from other lawyers and stuff. But he's like, in my mind, you have no shot. So I went and I got second opinions and ended up hiring a lawyer out of pocket because, he felt confident that we were gonna win the case. Yeah. So
you take it in front of the commissioners with your own attorney. I mean, I've done this, but I use the union attorney for me because like I said, I called the shots. But anyways, so you go there in front of the commissioners with your attorney to fight for your job, and how does it go?
As you would expect. I mean, very rarely do commissioners go against what the chief says.
And especially the attorney generals and all this stuff. They're not, these people. And what type of commissioners do you have there? Because for us, we had crackheads, we had people who never did the job, we had prostitute people that would guys that like prostitutes. These were our commissioners. Okay, to be honest with you. Were they just like regular citizens throughout the city?
Regular citizens.
It's crazy. I don't understand how these people have the ability. They should have to take classes and shit. I don't know if they do, but they should have to take some types of classes to understand what cops are doing out here. Like, go on ride along.
The same people?
Yeah. Yep.
Are they? They're still there?
Yeah. Yep. All of them.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
What was that? They got one colored person in there to make sure that they're hey, don't worry, we got it. Yeah, that's funny.
So what's funny is we end up. My lawyer hires an expert witness to testify, on my behalf. I pay out of pocket, spend thousands of dollars on an expert witness, and he shows up to the hearings, and they won't let him testify.
What?
They said, it's. I could go on for hours about this, but they end up submitting a motion to not let him testify. So my lawyer tells him you have to.
They should have mediators at this thing. They shouldn't allow they shouldn't be like the judges. You should have to have an arbitrator there during these type of things.
Yep.
All right.
But my lawyer said you have to interview him. You have to see if he's credible or not, and they end up saying, okay, we'll interview him. And they interviewed him for like an hour. And he gave every, great answers, every answer under the sun that they asked him, And at the end of it, they said, nope, he's not a credible expert witness to testify. Meanwhile, this guy's a court certified in federal court and state courts expert witness in police shooting. He testified in the Trooper North case. So how is it that courts are allowing him to testify as an expert? And a commission gets to decide that he's not credible. So money out the window. I threw thousands of dollars out the window because they wouldn't let him testify.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
So essentially,
they end up firing me.
Yeah. So they fire you.
So are you decertified?
No, not.
You're not. Okay.
Wow.
So
Okay.
they're not so now what happened? Like now, what about the other departments? They didn't want to take you from after this?
So because of the police accountability bill, you're unable to hire an officer if they were fired from another agency.
Oh wow!
Oh,
I didn't know they put that in there. That's
Wow. I
fucked.
didn't.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
So what I ended up doing was
That's another loophole there. That's another loophole, guys. You
Right.
know why?
Right.
But let me ask you this, because I got fired. You didn't have the ability to file a grievance and go up to the labor board and get it overturned?
Yeah.
So I did. So that's the next topic is they fire me in August of 2025. It was 5-5-0. They all voted in favor of the chief.
Of course.
We took it to arbitration. Now, for our contract, it doesn't go to the state labor board. It doesn't go to state board of mediation. It goes to an individual arbitrator who is, selected by the town to arbitrate cases. So it ends up going to, a guy that the town picks to arbitrate cases.
Yeah. That's
A
outrageous.
schmuck.
And this is what I mean, guys. It's they're so
The power.
they have everything in place so that they always win, bro.
Protect
That's
themselves.
this is how it is, man. And like, how does listen? I have a lot of stories to tell you guys about me getting fucked, and the problem is this is why when I started this, I said I'm going to stay in the middle, and I understand where society comes from and why they hate cops. I get it, and because I hate the system, but because I worked with cops, I know there's a lot of good ones. I know there's shitty ones too, but that's why I put them out there, but I try to stay neutral because I understand both sides, because I dealt with it. And I dealt with getting fucked, man. Like I did everything the right way. I documented everything. I fucking had 2 lawsuits. You know what I mean? I got fucked by every powerful person in my department. And then I get an attorney and finally can sue and fight back. And I get fucked by my attorney. He was corrupt himself. And it was just like, and I got to tell all these stories so people understand. But this is like where you get frustrated with the system, because it's like, oh, they tell you to go do the right thing. Do the right thing. Go do this. Fight it on the legal end. Don't go beat people's asses. You know what I mean? But it's like, no, there's really no other way but to beat people's asses sometimes. You know what I mean? And that's when I start to understand where society comes from. So you lose the arbitration too.
Yeah, so we take it to arbitration, and it was literally, the same exact thing as the Board of Police Commissioners all over again. You start from the beginning. Start from interviewing witnesses and stuff. And funny enough, my lawyer wanted to subpoena the female officer that was coming down the ramp to testify as to what she saw that night, and she wouldn't testify. She sent me this whole long text about how she feels being put in a weird position or something along those lines.
Just be honest.
She doesn't want to be in the middle of it, and
just be honest. Yeah, because you know why she's worried. That's a spineless cop. That's a spineless cop. Okay,
Shouldn't be on the job.
And that's why I told you guys. There's people like this where now, and I get where I know I can already understand where she's coming from, because she's worried that she's going to get retaliated against like he did, and have to deal with it. It's as simple as that, and that's what's sad. That doing the right things,
Jesus Christ.
This is why people sit here and I tell people, I'm like, listen, cops aren't backing each other. You guys think we are all the time. We're not. And these are the reasons why. People are scared. They're intimidated by the top. If they go and do the right thing that the top doesn't like, now they're fucked. You know what I mean? And this is the revolving door here. So let me now. How did other cops there feel about what happened?
So when I came back to work, it was normal. Everybody was cool with me. Nobody said a word to me about nobody said anything bad to me. Everybody was like nothing ever happened. And then once I got fired, your friends slowly start to you see who your real friends are. People start to fall off, and people stop texting you, and
for sure.
I mean, you're gonna have a few good close friends, like I still do today, like 2 or 3 good friends that still work there, and they check on me weekly. We talk daily, and but people show you their true colors, and
of course,
there's no brotherhood. It's gone.
I told you guys. That's what I say all the time, man. I seen it, and listen, there are the guys there, like I said, that will have your back, and You know what I mean? I had them, and that's why I did it for them too. But I really did it for everybody too, even if I didn't like you. You know what I mean? Like I still fought for everybody, but not everybody's like that. You know what I mean? Like,
and Jay, another fucking proactive guy getting stick right in the ass.
100%. That's how it goes, man. Like that's why I said the best.
They survive another day.
Yeah, the best because they don't do anything. They keep their mouth shut. They're fucking, and that's why they're the garbage cops that don't do nothing, that have nothing, no experience. You know what I mean? But they weasel their way through this whole career, and they love to tell people they're cops. You know what I mean? They love it.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. But so before we get out of here, the last thing I kind of want to touch on is like now we're about almost 2 years out from this whole incident. How do you feel now?
So just we'll just rewind quick. So we go through the whole arbitration thing, and the Inspector General, we're going to have him testify as a witness, get him up on the stand and testify in front of the arbitrator.
Interesting. Okay.
And
nice.
The state's attorney's office put in a motion to not let him testify. Like it's crazy. I could literally go on for hours about the amount of shit that happened with this.
Yeah.
But,
I know it, bro. I've been right there. So it's like, that's the thing. People don't know how in depth it really goes with the bullshit that they try to do and they do. And you have to the lengths that you have to go to prove it, to fucking argue it. It's like they know that for them to fuck you, it's like nothing. For you to defend yourself, it's fucking everything. It's like the so exhausting, man. It's the most stressful thing you'll ever have to deal with. And for them, it's nothing. It's like, I can fuck this guy by just flicking my fucking finger, and then you have to fucking jump through hoops to defend yourself. It's a sad fucking. It's sad, bro.
So what happened? And if you're paying out of pocket, it's just
of course,
like it's just
dry, an endless amount of money. Yeah.
Yep.
And
100%.
I couldn't taken it to the state Supreme Court and try to get it appealed, but where's it going to get me? I'm going to spend tens of thousands more dollars, and
they're all in the club, bro. I mean, you think they're going to go? You think they're going to go against the state's attorney? Nope. Usually not. You know what I mean? Nope. And this is the problem. It's like all these people are in this little power club up there, and they all do what each other wants them to do. Yeah. It's a big game.
Even post. I mean, we're coming up on 3 years, and they still never had a hearing for my certification. Like, it's just
crazy, dude.
It's crazy. 3 years later.
Yeah, so that technically they should be decertifying you. Technically. Yeah, but they haven't done anything. That's crazy, bro. Outrageous. So you have no real outlets right now. I mean, what are you doing for work now?
I'm starting a new career. I don't want to touch on it again because I know people will be watching, but I'm starting a new career, and I'm looking forward to it. And
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Jay, I sleep peacefully at night because I know that if I didn't do something that night to try to save him, and I watched him get killed, and I stood by and did nothing, and didn't try to do anything, that's something that I have to live with on my conscience for the rest of my life. Sure. Is that I failed to act, and he got killed. So
100%.
I sleep good at night. I mean, it was a long road and stressful times and stuff, but in my heart, I believe I know what I did was right in the time, and I stand by it. And I really don't care what people think. And
good, bro.
You could always Monday morning quarterback anything. I mean,
100%, bro. You're not the only cop to go through this stuff. Like I said, we all go through it. That's why we have this podcast. That's why we fight for the good cops and tell the stories of the cops that get fucked, because there's guys that are dealing with this all throughout the country. So I hope you guys like this episode. This is something that I was excited to talk about because
absolutely
I dealt with it. Anthony dealt with it. And like I said, a lot of cops deal with it. So these are some of my favorite episodes. Unfortunately, it's like not necessarily the best topic because it's people getting fucked, but it's informative to tell you guys this is what's really going on. Everybody has this perception of, oh, this is how the police department is. No, this is how the police department is. And we're going to tell you straight how it really is. And that's the whole point of what we're doing here. So, listen, man, Eric, I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate you telling your story.
Thank you, Eric.
I hope that, everything works out with your new career. And anytime,
stay in touch with the page too. Just give us some updates here and there when you're ready.
Yeah, man. Anytime, you want to hit us up. You need anything, bro, or you want to talk, anything like that, man. Just reach out. And if you know any other cops or anybody that wants to come on, talk about policing, the job, their experiences with it, things like that, shoot them our way. And yeah, man, I hope
Sorry you
everything
went through
works
this,
out.
man, but keep that
Sure,
head
bro.
up.
For sure. But listen,
Thank
man,
you guys for having me, and let me have a platform to. I mean, this is the first one I've done to get my story out there, and
man,
it feels good to. I mean, I know it was long and kind of all over the places.
It's worth it.
There's just so much information that happened with this. I could go on for hours.
100%.
Oh, I know it, bro. That's why I do this. That's why I do this. This is the only way for me to tell my story now, too, because like I said, and that's another thing. The last thing I'll touch on here before we get out of here, and Eric, you're going to understand this, and you tell me if the department has stuff like this. The reason why I'm telling you guys everything that happened now, and I was pretty vocal when I was a cop. That's probably why they hated me even more, because I really didn't give a fuck. But a lot of departments have rules that you're not allowed to speak, man. You're not allowed to go on social media and say, "Hey, the department's doing this to me." You know what I mean? Hey, guys, I need some support. You can't do that. They have rules against it. Did they have something like that?
Yeah, just broad social media policies and stuff.
Yeah, crazy, bro. And that's how they tie your hands, man. And they do whatever they want, and that's kind of the way they get to navigate through never getting fucking exposed for who they really are. And that's why we're here, guys. That's why we're here. All right, man.
Right,
listen, it was a great talk. I appreciate everything. Guys, look out for episode 7. We don't know who's coming on yet, but we'll find something good for you. Check out the TikTok, check out the Instagram. And like I said, we got some t-shirts. You can click the link in those platforms for the Exposed Corruption t-shirts. And I'm coming out with next week, maybe even a little earlier than that, a book that I just wrote that is going to help society kind of understand their rights, because nobody really does. I mean, everybody acts like they do on social media. I know my rights. I know my rights. I know everything. You can't do that. But guess what? They really don't. All right. So the reality is we're never taught this shit. Nobody really knows it. And you guys need to know it so you don't get yourselves in trouble. Okay. Because you're going to learn from social media people that are telling you the wrong shit. All right. And that's going to get you in trouble when you deal with cops. So be educated. All right. So I'm trying to help you guys. I wrote a book for you to do that. And it's in plain English. It's as easy to read as a children's book for you guys. Okay. So stay tuned for that. I think that's going to be helpful. And hopefully a lot of people that gives them the education they need. But all right, guys, let's get out of here. Until next time. Take care.
Have a good night, guys.
Later, guys.